Hello, my beautiful ducklings. It's your friendly Gruppeteer, and I'm back again with a Steven Universe vlog. Today we're looking at Lars and the Cool Kids. And in this episode, well, the beginning of the episode, Garnet, Pearl, Amethyst, and Steven go to a swamp that has moss that, moss, and it'll, grab something and just, take it down, I don't know, quicksand or something. Quicksand moss, sure. But also spreads off of the island and stuff like that. And what Steven's mom did back when she was alive was she used to take the moss to the top of the mountain and something beautiful would happen because she believed that there's beauty in everything. And so Steven says, let's go get some lunch, and he goes to the pizza place, fish stew pizza place, and he meets Lars there, who's waiting outside because all the cool kids in the block with a couple of, what was it? Okay, there's a song, I forget it. Cool kids on the block, new kids on the block. Oh, it's Neil Sissigura, New Kids on the Rock. Anyway, where was I? Yes, so he's waiting for the cool kids because the cool kids are so cool, and they're kids and they're cool kids. So Steven goes up and he talks to them, and it turns out that they like Steven, and Steven invites Lars to come on, hang out with the cool kids with him, and they go by a whole bunch of things, and all kinds of things backfire on Lars trying to be cool, and then they eventually reach the place where the moss was growing, the swamp, and they do the unthinkable and ignore the police tape, which is, this is a show for children, and I can't believe what is this? But anyway, they ignore the police tape, and they go in, and they are eaten by the moss. So Lars and Steven have to get them to the top of the mountain like his mother did, and because that is the only way to get the moss off. And they do, and flowers bloom, and you get a really nice view of Beach City with flowers going across, and it's really nice, and then they touch each other on the chest uncomfortably for a large amount of time, and then it ends. That's a pretty best synopsis ever. This was not much to this episode, actually. Really not much to this episode. I was interested to see how they could pull off the cool kids persona, because when you have the cool kids and pretty much any other show, cool kids are kind of like the love interest or the cool kids character is kind of like the love interest character or the comic relief character or something. You're gonna see them and you're gonna be like, oh, it's Lucy, or ha ha ha, it's Pigpen. But you're not gonna hear a backstory from any of them or anything. They're not gonna go into depth. They're just as bland as can be. And the cool kids are usually like, hey, I'm cool. Look at my leather jacket and my Adidas shoes and my hair that goes up like a ski slope. Yo, dog. Diggity in the hood. G-dog. That's not how they act, but you know. That's not how they act, but you know what I mean when I say that. But in this, they weren't they were definitely cool kids. I would tell they're cool kids, but they're not like, yo, there's a little kid trying to walk up to us. What up with that, dog? I apologize. They're they see Steven walk up to them. They acknowledge that Steven is pretty cool for trying to walk up to the cool kids and saying hi. They're like, wow, that's cool. I like him. And so, yeah, that's relatable. If you got a cool kid and you got a cool kid and he's the bully, and he goes around and he's pushing over kids and he's taking their lunch money and he's doing other things that you wouldn't do 21st century. You wouldn't even do back then. Uh, you're like, oh yeah, no, I wouldn't. I can't recognize myself in a place getting my lunch money taken from me, getting beat up getting chased by a whole bunch of guys in a skeleton costume. And if you got that one, no, anybody get that one? It's Karate Kid. So anyway, but in this one, they're like actual kids that are like actual cool kids. I don't really know that many cool kids, surprise. But the ones I do know, this is a pretty accurate representation of them. I mean, you walk up to a cool kid, you're like, hey, you want to hang out with me? They'll might say no. They might be like, oh, look at him trying to hang out with us. But for how their characters in the show were shown, I guess, because this was the first impression of them, it wasn't like totally out of character. Like, they weren't like totally mean all the time, and then they saw Steven and they're like, I like you. This is the first time you hear really any of them say anything. And so Steven walks up and he's like, hi. And they're like, oh, he's cool because he wants to hang out with us. I like him. And so by then you kind of have the impression that, oh, these aren't Joe McCool stereotypes. These are like relatable kids. And yeah, they are. They don't really have much of personalities. One of them is the son of the mayor, like the mayor, I forget his name, but like the mayor that was in the Cat Fingers episode, like with the red face, and he's like, quick, I love everything, find me some babies to kiss, and like the guy's holding a baby and he's like, oh baby, and like he gives a big kiss. And what was it? And Lars, because there's some really funny lines when Lars is trying to be cool and he isn't. I don't remember what it was, but like the son is like, my dad never kissed me like that, and Lars is like, well, kissing, what is it? I don't remember the line, but it's funny. And then there's another funny line, and Steven's like, oh hey, let's go to the arcade, and the Jack Frost cool kid, pretty much, says, oh no, I got like 3 million tokens there. And Lars is like, me too. And Jack Frost, cool kid, is like, oh, that was just an exaggeration, I don't really. And Lars is like, oh, okay. And then there's another scene, I don't really know how I feel about it, actually. It was funny, I guess, and not funny. Steven Universe is more of a, happy show, The humor doesn't really come from, hey Jimmy, what? You're stupid. It's more of like, nice humor. But there was a scene, and Lars and Steven are getting taken over by the moss, and Lars is like, Steven? And Steven, like, they're gonna, like, say, like, a last word, like, I'm sorry for being mean or something, because the scene before that, Lars was really being mean to Steven. And he's like, Steven? And Steven's like, what? And Lars is like, you suck. And then he just devours his face. And, I don't, like, my brother laughed at that. I was watching this with my brother and my sister. And my brother, like, kind of laughed at that. He was like, like, you can kind of, if you watch the show, it kind of felt like a strange joke. Like, it kind of felt strange. But besides that, there isn't much to talk about. Oh, there's a scene where Steven starts yelling at Lars, which was, it wasn't out of character, it was just kind of strange to see. An out of character reaction is, say, in Phineas and Ferb, the great summer vacation, the log one, they go around the world, and Phineas gets really angry at the end, like when his sister doesn't want to get on the tricycle, and Phineas is just like, get on the tricycle! And then there's another one, and it's like the one with the Marvel characters, and he also starts freaking out, and it's like totally out of character for him. And in this, it's not out of character for Steven to start yelling. I wouldn't expect him to start yelling, but I don't really know. I'm gonna leave it on that note. I really don't know what to say about this episode. I have mixed feelings. I went into this. I don't know. I'll see you guys next time. Don't forget to tickle that subscribe button and maybe give it a little lick. Chicka chicka.